Bonjour et bienvenue, je suis l'homme bleu.
It's the Borough Market.
And we're at the Borough Market. And that was Adele. Yeah, so we were originally planning to go to Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, Parliament Building today, and all that jazz, but there's a free tour tomorrow. So we will be doing it tomorrow instead.
10 in the morning.
Yeah, 10 in the morning.
And tonight we go to Whitechapel.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't hear that, tonight we're going to go to Whitechapel on another free tour.
For Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, for Jack the Ripper. And we'll just explore every place he went, everything about Jack. And yeah, well right now then, since we're not going to do Westminster and Big Ben, we are going to go check out the Globe Theatre, maybe check out the University of Westminster. And then, yeah, maybe just go to Hyde Park and just kill time walking around London until we can go see Whitechapel and where Jack the Ripper.
It's only £1 a bowl of tomato.
The market looks really good. This market was actually suggested to us. So, yeah. Lots of seafood here.
We have to come back.
So, oh, what the heck is that? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's a sheep head. But yeah, so this market's like fresh fish, fresh baked, everything's fresh. Basically small farms, small farmers. Yeah, it's kind of like a farmer's market, really, except it's always here and it's really big. So, yeah. Alright, so that building we saw on the first day we were here turned out to be Southwark Cathedral, which is right here. Should be that one. Which means, yeah, okay, so there's the Shard. The Globe Theatre should be around here someplace. Yeah, so now we're back at London Bridge. There should be, Globe Theatre should be just over there, so we're going to go back that way. Water's at low tide now, it appears. So, yeah. From same place we were a few days ago during the day. There's the Shard. There's a funky looking building. And there's the Tower Bridge and the Tower Bridge. And over there behind those buildings there, you can't see, is the Gherkin. Evidently, well, we have to walk back past this cathedral, but evidently it's more than 1,000 years old. So we can't go inside and film, but I'll show you guys some of the outside. So we just checked out the temple, we just checked out the cathedral, rather. Oh, there's a ship over here. Okay, well anyway, the cathedral has wooden floors, which I found interesting. Just stunning stone architecture, ribbed vault ceilings, glass windows, gold. Like the first priory was in 1106. His name was Aldgood. But yeah, it's just an amazing church. Everything's written in Latin, and there's no pews in these old churches, so they bring in like chairs. And let's find out what this is. St. Mary over from 16th century. Free landing space. Oh, okay. So this ship is from the 16th century. That is St. Mary's Ovaries. St. Mary Ovaries. Okay. Unusual name, but yeah. I believe that's the name of the ship. Queen Elizabeth. Sir Francis Drake. Huh. So then is this Sir Francis Drake's ship? I'm sure. Golden Hind 2. Okay, so I think the Golden Hind 2, Golden Hind, my bad, is the name of the ship then. The tiller first. Yeah, this is Sir Francis Drake's ship. This is the ship of Sir Francis Drake. The ship is 430 years old. Wow. Wow. Okay, yeah, we were not expecting to stumble upon, across that. That just kind of happened. I don't know what to say about it. Do you have any commentary? You don't know who that is? Okay, basically he tried sailing around the world. He's a famous navigator, voyager, explorer.
So like Colombia.
Yeah, like Columbus.
Columbus, I mean.
Except 70 years later.
I've heard of the name, I just don't really know.
Yeah. So not sure what else there is to say about this, but we found Sir Francis Drake, the real one, not the faux one that they have in St. Augustine. This is the real deal.
But it's not as big as the Chinese guy's ship, right?
Oh no,
So
not even close.
his ship was so big.
No, not even close to the, not even remotely close to the Chinese guy's ship. And so still making our way there. It's past that bridge, but we just came across this other image of the skyline. So thought we'd show you guys everything that we see. Still making our way to the Globe Theater, and just in case there's someone who doesn't know what the Globe Theater is, it is where basically Shakespeare wrote and all of his plays, and they were all acted in his lifetime. The original Globe Theater burns down, but they recreated it in the exact same spot with the exact same layout and architecture, same blueprints and all. So the original one no longer exists, but this one is an exact replica in its spot, and it's still several hundred years old, so a few hundred at least. Yeah, Clink Prison Museum. I'm assuming this used to be, oh yeah, this used to be the London City Prison. And yeah, so this walkway should take us to the Globe Theater. Again, Shakespeare's theater. I believe it's still in use for Shakespearean plays. I'm not sure, but I think that might be it. I think that might be the theater. Not 100% certain at this point, but this is the spot it should be in according to the maps. I'll take a walk up here. We've been out here for about an hour and I've already gotten at least 10 things in my eye. So, I don't know, maybe I should just wear goggles. Alright, so this is in fact the Rose Theater, not the Globe Theater, although it is very globe-shaped. Deception in the name, the Globe Theater actually isn't shaped like a globe. But we're almost there. It's just beyond this area where all those people are gawking. Oh, and there's the Millennium Bridge. Yeah. So there it is, the Globe Theater, Shakespeare's theater. Just a side note about Sir Francis Drake from before. If you remember from our last video in St. Augustine, I believe it was Sir Francis Drake who attacked the city of St. Augustine, and Spanish labeled him as a pirate. But anyway, yeah, Shakespeare's Theater, or the Theater, there it is. Alright, so we made it now, we're at Hyde Park. We may have to save the University of Westminster for tomorrow. We were thinking about doing it in today, but if we want to make the Whitechapel tour, we wouldn't really have time for it. So we're just going to hang out in Hyde Park for a bit, explore around, then we're going to go head back to Whitechapel and get a tour of where Jack the Ripper did his deeds. Let's go to Hyde Park. And I got something in my eye again. Just taking a stroll through Hyde Park now. Over that way is Buckingham Palace, but that's tomorrow. I said that yesterday and the day before yesterday, but it will be tomorrow because there's an actual tour and we will take it. But yeah, we're gonna go see what the statue is real quick. There's a lot of people in suits dressed around it. I'm not sure what that means. But, we'll find out. There's a fat pigeon. There's Adele. Alright, so that's a statue of Achilles dedicated to Arthur, Duke of Wellington. It was placed here by King George IV. I can't read the date because it's in Roman numerals and it's hard to read from this angle and there's a ton of people in the way. But yeah, it's a statue of Achilles for Arthur, Duke of Wellington. Nice statue. Okay, let's continue our stroll. Just sitting here watching the birds. That black one down there was running, like, it was crazy. It was actually running. But yeah, just sitting here enjoying the park, listening to police sirens. Or no, that's an ambulance. Yeah, just taking our time, relaxing today. Birds are fighting for something over there. Piece of bread, probably. We think that group of people that were over by the statue might be a funeral for someone. Or they might have had a wake and then come to the park. Not sure. Maybe it was a memorial. But, yeah. We may still have time to see the University of Westminster. Maybe not, but we would have to rush it. And today we just kind of feel like taking it mellow because we've been trying to hop from place to place all over Europe now. And, yeah.
We'll have, today's the 9th, so we have 6 more days in Europe.
Yeah, 6 more days.
Technically 5, it's the 6th day we're leaving.
Yeah.
In the morning at 7. And then it's my birthday.
And then it's Adele's birthday. And then she can...
I'm turning 21 in a week.
Yeah. So, yeah, so just a few things about, I guess, where we're going in Whitechapel. Well, I guess I already talked about that, so I don't need to do it again. We have a tour guide, so I may or may not be talking. I might talk to reiterate what the tour guide says so you can hear it better, but yeah. Bagpipes playing down that way. Just thought I'd show you guys that real quick. Alright, now so we're at Aldgate. One in front of this church here to wait for our tour. I don't know how many people will be joining us, but it's a walking tour, so it should be fun. And basically in the eastern part of London, city of London, whatever you want to call it. And we'll be going to Whitechapel. Yeah. St. Botolph without Aldgate. Unusual name. The longer we're here, the more I'm noticing I have to force myself basically to not speak with an accent from the British Isles, so a British accent, as it were. Yeah, so you can see we're pretty close to the Gherkin, or you may not be able to see that tree's in the way, but I can't get a better angle. There's a bus right next to me. It's a double-decker. Yeah, just waiting. The tour should start in half an hour, but they say to be here half an hour before it starts. And that's what we're doing.
So you should be able to see the Gherkin.
Yeah, we'll go around this tree and try to get a better look at the Gherkin. Oh, there we go. There we go. There's the Gherkin. Yeah. Well, still waiting. Alright, so this chapel that we're standing at, the church, is where all the prostitutes used to hang out back in the Victorian era. Jack the Ripper was 1888, around there. So we're heading to Whitechapel now. This road here separated the city of London, which was where all the wealth in London was, and is actually still the richest square mile in the world. And this end, where the church is one of the poorest. In fact, I think the poorest in London. Back in its heyday, there were 1,200 prostitutes here. That's about a square mile, maybe less. So it's a lot of prostitution. Yeah, our tour guide, Greg, if I remember his name correctly, he's from London, on the south side of the river, East London. We're not quite in East London yet, because the border has moved, so we're still in the city of London. But we're walking over to East London now. Much safer now, but still where all the prostitution and stuff is. But not much safer. In fact, they're tearing down all the slums and replacing them with high-rises and making it wealthy. So all of the poor people are being kicked out of London at the moment. But I hope you guys can hear me. And yeah. So we are now in East London. Something our tour guide said is that while he's talking, he might refer to Jack the Ripper as the Whitechapel murderer, the Whitechapel killer. They're believed to be one and the same person. Jack the Ripper killed 5 people. Liz believes that if he is the Whitechapel murderer, there's a total of 13 victims. So that's something that So I guess this is East London.
1988, there used to be a barber shop that used to be here. It's very important. I'll talk about this in a few minutes. But just imagine, alright, there's no cars. It would have been horse and carriages. It would have been very dimly lit. Imagine walking through here, like these cobbled streets. It's dark. It's very sinister, very menacing. But it was a great place for the prostitutes. And I'll explain this in a second. Now, as we walk through here, then on the left-hand side by the door, there is a board. I'll let you take a photo, read it, and then we'll walk a little further up because it's next to the entrance of the pub. So it gets a bit annoying, people keep coming out. So we'll go up here, have a look at what the board says, and then we'll talk about this area.
Old cobblestone street. So this street is original from the 1800s.
Alright, so read that and then we'll move up here and get away. Alright, so if you just have a look, like you can see that this building is dated back to 1886. Now,
Believe that that's the pub. A suspect Jack the Ripper lived there, so could have been where Jack the Ripper lived.
In these spaces, then the warehouses would have been places like slaughterhouses. So you'd have had dead carcasses hanging around. Like lots of rats running around the place. It was rat infested. There was no sewer systems until the late 1800s. The East End was the last place to get it. So human waste would be just thrown into the street. You can imagine the smell. It was a disgusting place. And that's why this area got known to be the worst streets in London, George's Street. It was the newspaper that gave it the title of the worst streets in London because it was a place for deserters. So people that left the army, they came here to hide. It was a place for rapists, for murderers, for prostitutes. It was for the lowest of the low, the poorest of the poor. Now, we'll move up here a little bit more. I'm sure people don't like me talking about that when I live. First Jack the Ripper killing. And there was a woman called Martha Tabram. Now Martha Tabram, she was around about 45 years old. She was a prostitute. This is the only thing that the women had in common. They did not know each other. They were all prostitutes. They had to go out and they had to work every single day because they led a very transient life. You could buy a prostitute, depending on how destitute they were. You could buy a prostitute for 3 pence, a glass of gin, or a piece of stale bread. So, Martha Tabram, she was out and she was in a pub called the Frying Pan Pub, and she was there with her friend, Pearly Poll. They were drinking. As I said, the prostitutes, they were drunks. And she was drinking and drinking. It was around about 11:45, 11:45, that they left the pub. They left the pub with 2 soldiers, 2 Grenadier Guards. Grenadier Guards. These are soldiers that protect the royal family. They were seen leaving us. Polly Pope, she actually went off. And she went off and walked down and took her man to a place called Angel Lane. Martha Tabram, she actually came here. She walked down the Whitechapel High Street. She knew that this place was going to be dark, that it was going to be secluded, that she would be able to find a place where she could do her business in privacy. She walked down here. She went into the building. And it was then at 2 o'clock. A soldier was seen at the end of this road. And at the end of that road, the police officer, PC Barrett, he was walking past. And he decided to stop and talk to that soldier. He asked the soldier, "What is your purpose in being here?" The soldier replied, "I'm waiting for my friends. He's with a woman." That's nothing unusual. So the police officer carried on walking, going back to Commercial Street where the police station was. Then, it was around about 2 o'clock. A woman called Emma Mahoney. She'd been out celebrating the long weekend. It was a bank holiday weekend. She'd been out drinking. And she came back. It was pitch black. She walked back. She walked into her house. Later when the police interviewed her, she said that she saw nothing. And that was at around about 2. Then, it was around about 5 o'clock. A man called Alfred Crow, he was a carman. So he was on his way to work. He got up and he walked out. And he was walking down the stairs. And he noticed that there was a body just lying there on the stairwell. At first, he didn't really think anything of it. Because 1 million people that lived
the guy down there puking.
A third of them, around about 330,000 people that lived here were homeless. So the homeless people, they would just sleep on the stairwells, they'd sleep on the landings, they'd sleep in doorways, anywhere they could find shelter. So it wasn't unusual to see a drunk prostitute. A prostitute, then, as I told you, most of them were alcoholics. They would do their business, they would then go and drink. They would pass out. So it wasn't unusual to see a drunk prostitute lying on the stairwells in the landings. It wouldn't be unusual to wake up and find a dead baby, a dead child, or a dead person in the stairwells on the landings. So people just ignored it. But as he got closer, then he noticed that there was blood, a pool of blood underneath the neck. So he was a little bit inquisitive and he was wondering what had happened. So he walked over to the body and he noticed that this woman was not alive. So he quickly ran back to the police station. He got PC Barrett. PC Barrett came here. Love you. Steve. Yeah. So PC Barrett, like, he came back here and he brought his doctor, and the doctor came. They took the body back to the morgue, where he could then examine this body. When they eventually took her clothes off, they counted 39 stab wounds. 5 to the left lung, 2 to the right lung. Stabs to the left and to the right of the abdomen. Stabbing to the legs. 1 stab was straight to the heart. Her neck had been like cut. 1 stab to the heart was with a different blade. 38 stabs all over the body, but the one to the heart was of a different shape and size. Now, most of the other ones were probably around about 7 inches long. This one was about 9, maybe 10. Obviously, we do not know who killed this woman, but that one longer blade possibly could have come from a bayonet. Bayonet, what the soldiers use on the end of their guns. The soldier who was up there, he was the last person to be seen with Martha Tavis. But he was seen at 2 o'clock. Her body was discovered at 5. Maybe she had been back out and met another person. Maybe she had gone to the pub. Maybe she ran into Severin Kowalski. As you saw there, he was convicted of murder.
George Chapman.
Remember this, because I'm going to talk about him at the end.
Polish immigrant.
But it was a very important murder, this
surgeon, came to Britain.
Because there was another
became a barber.
murder,
Barbers actually performed surgery back then.
Again, it was a very
he's
gruesome
one of the
murder.
chief suspects for
This
Jack
was
the
the
Ripper.
second one in close succession. It started making the police think there was possibly a repeat killer. Now, the police had only been around for 50 years. They were relatively new. They didn't really know what to do. And we'll talk about this up here.
Also, sex would happen behind this wall, just up against the wall, out in public. Get it done. The street at night, only one lantern on each end. They're extremely dark, extremely dangerous. Even police won't come down here unless there's about 4 of them together. So, one of the most dangerous streets in Britain at the time. The location of the first Whitechapel murder on the street corner here. There was a prostitute over there a little while ago. So we were just on a brick lane, very Indian, Middle Eastern neighborhood, lots of Indian food. Smelled really good. Our tour guide said we would get accosted. Oh, Sichuan food. But our tour guide said we would get accosted and people trying to get us to buy stuff. Everything's at a discount. It was true. Like every 5 feet, someone would try to get us to go to their restaurant. But yeah, he says on Sunday there's an amazing market, amazing food. Yeah, pointing that out. And still on our way to the next Jack the Ripper location, Whitechapel murder location.
It's really brutal.
Yeah.
It's too visual. It's a little bit scary, the story.
Yeah. Location of Annie Chapman's murder. Some of these buildings date back to the 16th century. So they were also here in 1888. Our guide was telling us. So this Victorian pub hasn't changed since 1888. Jack the Ripper victims used to frequent this pub, and the first victim died right down that road behind me, right there. So they think that Jack the Ripper himself may have been a patron here. So this car park used to be a building much like this one. It's where Mary Kelly was murdered, the last Jack the Ripper victim. So that, I think that basically sums up the tour. We'll see what else he has. I'm not going to record anymore for the duration of the tour. I'll fill in anything else when we're done. And let you guys know where we found this tour, and it's free. You can tip him afterwards however much you want. But yeah, we'll send you guys a link, show it to you on the screen. And yeah, if you guys are ever in London, you should check it out.
Was that you?
Alright, so over there by those gates is where another victim of Jack the Ripper was found. I guess we're done with today's tour. The last little bits we just talked about the last two victims. Two victims were killed.
You can hear the bell.
Oh yeah, and you can finally hear the bell. So the third and fourth victim were actually killed on the same night within half an hour, I think it was, of one another, and within half a mile of each other. Wow, those are some loud bells. Anyway, yeah, so we also talked about some of the main suspects. Yeah, there's the church where all the prostitutes hung out. And yeah, so the main two of the main suspects, or ones that are most interesting, are one thought it might have been, I think, Prince Albert Victor, the grandson of Queen Victoria, because he got a prostitute pregnant, and it's believed that he had police officers kill those prostitutes because they were threatening to extort the royal family for money. And then the other one, which is more plausible, is Francis Tumbleton. When he was eventually arrested, he's a Canadian, he came to London, and right afterwards the murders started here. He left, they stopped, he went to America. Some started in America. They found in his house, he was arrested one day, and they found jars full of women's uteruses. So that's kind of the trademark of Jack the Ripper. So they believe that it could have been him. But yeah, so I guess that sums up today. That sums up our tour. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it.
Bye.
Bonjour.
See you tomorrow.